Ladies and gentlemen, imagine standing at the edge of a storm not of thunder or wind, but of opportunity, power, and change. The world around us is changing at an unprecedented rate. Capital moves in milliseconds, ideas ignite empires. One wrong move, and you're left behind. One bold, decisive action, and you change everything. Today, we're about to step inside the arena where vision meets execution, where leadership is tested in real time, and where the future of global markets is being written. And only those ready to see clearly, act boldly, and think relentlessly will shape what comes next. The question isn't if the markets will evolve, it's who will define their next move. And right here, right now, we are about to find out. When we examine the nature of leadership in complex and rapidly evolving markets, one truth stands out. Clarity of vision is the currency that separates mere participants from true influencers. Leadership is not about reacting to every market fluctuation or chasing the noise of short-term trends. It is about understanding the deeper currents, the fundamental shifts that will shape opportunity and risk over the next decade and beyond. In global markets, those currents are rarely obvious. They exist in the interplay of policy, technology, human behavior, and macroeconomic forces. To lead effectively, one must see beyond the surface, anticipate change before it arrives, and position resources and people to thrive under conditions that others are not prepared to navigate. Visionary leadership requires discipline. The temptation to follow the crowd, to be swept along by sentiment or momentum, is ever present. The market does not reward indecision or hesitation. It rewards insight, preparation, and the courage to act when others hesitate. Leaders in finance and enterprise understand that opportunities are fleeting, that the window for action is narrow, and that those who act with conviction are the ones who shape outcomes rather than merely observe them. This is not speculation. It is a principle that has been repeatedly demonstrated in periods of volatility, disruption, and transformation. Equally important is the recognition that vision is only meaningful when paired with execution. Ideas, no matter how brilliant, require disciplined implementation. Capital must be deployed intelligently, talent must be aligned with strategic priorities, and risk must be managed rigorously. Leadership is the art of orchestrating these elements so that they reinforce one another rather than operate in isolation. The most successful organizations are those where vision is embedded in culture, where every decision reflects a clear understanding of the ultimate objective, and where accountability is both expected and demanded. At the global scale, visionary leadership also demands adaptability. Economic cycles shift, regulatory landscapes evolve, and geopolitical events can redefine opportunity overnight. A leader must be flexible enough to respond without abandoning long-term principles, steadfast enough to maintain direction, and insightful enough to identify emerging trends before they become conventional wisdom. It is a delicate balance, requiring constant analysis, judgment, and the willingness to challenge one's own assumptions. Finally, leadership is about influence, not just authority. The most impactful leaders cultivate environments in which talent flourishes, innovation is encouraged, and diverse perspectives are valued. They understand that their decisions ripple through markets and communities, and they approach each opportunity with a sense of responsibility and purpose. Vision is not static. It evolves as circumstances change, but its guiding principle remains the same: to act decisively, ethically, and with a deep understanding of the forces shaping the future. In essence, visionary leadership in global markets is about seeing what others cannot, preparing for what others will not, and executing with precision and discipline. It is about courage tempered by rigor, ambition guided by insight, and the relentless pursuit of long-term value over short-term acclaim. Those who embody this approach do more than navigate markets. They define them. The lifeblood of any thriving economy and the engine that powers innovation and growth is the efficient flow of capital. Capital markets are not abstract constructs. They are living ecosystems where ideas, opportunity, and risk converge. They are the mechanisms by which resources are allocated to their highest and best use, and their efficiency determines not only the returns of individual investors, but the prosperity of entire societies. Understanding the principles that drive these markets and respecting their dynamics is fundamental to any leadership role in finance, enterprise, or policy. Efficiency in capital markets is about more than speed or liquidity. It is about transparency, fairness, and the ability of participants to act on information that is timely and reliable. Markets function best when pricing reflects real economic value, when investors can evaluate opportunity with clarity. Thank you, and when incentives align to reward innovation and productivity rather than speculation or manipulation. When these conditions are met, capital moves to the ideas, companies, and technologies that will drive growth tomorrow, not just today. It is the allocation of capital to meaningful opportunities that underpins technological advancement, job creation, and global economic expansion. In practice, efficient markets demand rigorous analysis, discipline, and courage. Leaders must sift through vast quantities of data, separate signal from noise, and make decisions under conditions of uncertainty. It is never enough to assume that opportunity will present itself clearly. The most successful investors and operators identify mispricings, understand risk with precision, and act decisively when conviction meets evidence. This discipline is what allows capital to be deployed where it can generate the most impact, economically, socially, and financially. Equally critical is the recognition that markets are dynamic and efficiency is never static. Regulatory changes, technological innovation, and geopolitical developments continuously reshape the landscape. A leader who understands this does not rely solely on past success or conventional wisdom. They anticipate shifts, evaluate consequences, and adapt strategies to ensure that capital continues to flow effectively to areas of true value. They understand that a misallocation of capital, even temporarily, can have consequences that reverberate across industries, communities, and entire economies. Beyond numbers and transactions, efficient capital markets are fundamentally about trust. Participants must believe that markets operate fairly, that information is accurate, and that integrity governs interactions. Without trust, capital hesitates, innovation stalls, and opportunity diminishes. The leaders who excel in these environments cultivate that trust by modeling ethical behavior, demanding accountability, and creating systems that reward merit and transparency. Ultimately, the strength of capital markets reflects the strength of leadership. Those who recognize their role in allocating resources wisely, who understand the principles of efficiency and transparency, and who act with discipline and foresight are the ones who shape the trajectory of markets and economies. Efficiency is not just a technical concept. It is the framework through which society channels ambition, rewards innovation, and drives meaningful progress. The leaders who master it do more than pay. In the modern era, talent and technology are inseparable forces that define the competitive landscape. Technology accelerates decision-making, expands reach, and amplifies capabilities, but it is the intellect, judgment, and creativity of people that ultimately drive results. Organizations that understand this interplay recognize that investing in human capital is as important, if not more, than investing in systems, software, or infrastructure. Without disciplined, capable, and motivated talent, even the most advanced technology is inert. The future belongs to those who can integrate these two forces effectively, aligning human insight with the power of innovation. Talent in this context is not merely a collection of skills or credentials. It is the ability to think critically under pressure, to process complex information rapidly, and to act decisively when uncertainty is high. It is the capacity to see patterns where others see chaos, to challenge assumptions, and to innovate beyond conventional boundaries. In high-stakes markets and high-performance enterprises, these qualities are non-negotiable. They define who can navigate volatility successfully and who will be left behind. Technology enhances this process, but it cannot substitute for discernment or creativity. The integration of technology amplifies the effectiveness of talent by providing tools that increase speed, precision, and insight. Sophisticated analytics, artificial intelligence, and automation allow decisions to be informed by data at an unprecedented scale. But tools alone do not create advantage. True differentiation emerges when skilled individuals leverage technology to identify opportunities, manage risk, and implement strategies with rigor. Those who master this integration can act faster, more accurately, and with greater confidence, translating insight into tangible outcomes in ways that competitors cannot replicate. Leaders. IP in this domain is about creating an environment where both technology and talent thrive. It requires cultivating curiosity, encouraging rigorous debate, and demanding excellence. Leaders must recognize potential, invest in development, and build teams capable of executing complex strategies with precision. At the same time, they must deploy technology intelligently, not as a substitute for judgment, but as a force multiplier for human capability. This alignment of mind and machine becomes the engine of sustained competitive advantage. Adaptability is also critical. Both talent and technology evolve rapidly. Skills that are essential today may be outdated tomorrow. Tools that provide an edge now may be ubiquitous in the near future. Leaders who succeed understand that continuous learning, reinvention, and flexibility are required. They foster cultures that embrace change, encourage innovation, and integrate new capabilities without losing focus on long-term objectives. This is how organizations remain resilient, responsive, and dominant in volatile, complex markets. At its core, the interplay of talent and technology is a reflection of the principle that human insight, disciplined judgment, and rigorous execution are irreplaceable. Technology is an amplifier, talent is the engine, and leadership is the steering mechanism that ensures both are deployed to maximum effect. Mastery of this integration is what separates those who merely participate in global markets from those who shape them. It is the ability to combine intellect and innovation, foresight and execution that defines enduring success. Global markets operate in a complex environment where opportunity and risk are in constant tension. Understanding this dynamic is fundamental to leadership, strategy, and the pursuit of long-term value. Economic cycles, geopolitical events, regulatory shifts, and technological disruption all intersect to shape markets in ways that are often unpredictable, yet discernible to those who study patterns, understand fundamentals, and act with discipline. Effective engagement in these markets requires not only analysis but judgment, the ability to weigh probabilities, and the courage to make decisions when certainty is unattainable. Inflationary pressures, currency fluctuations, and shifts in monetary policy are not abstract concepts. They have immediate and tangible effects on capital allocation, investment returns, and strategic decision-making. Leaders must anticipate the consequences of these forces and respond proactively. Waiting for clarity or reacting after the fact is rarely sufficient. Instead, successful participants in global markets develop frameworks to evaluate risk systematically, allocate resources prudently, and maintain flexibility to adjust strategies as circumstances evolve. This approach transforms uncertainty from a threat into a competitive advantage. Equally important is understanding the rise of alternative assets and new instruments of capital deployment. Traditional equities, bonds, and commodities remain critical, but the financial ecosystem is expanding rapidly. Private investments, venture capital, real estate, and emerging technologies offer opportunities for outsized returns, but they also carry unique risks. Leadership in this environment requires the ability to identify value where others see complexity, to measure risk accurately, and to balance short-term performance with long-term sustainability. Those who can navigate this complexity with precision are the ones who define the trajectory of capital flows in the global economy. Global economic realities are also shaped by human behavior, confidence, expectation, and sentiment. Markets respond not only to facts but to perception. Leaders who succeed understand the psychology of markets and the interplay between rational analysis and collective behavior. They recognize that volatility is both a challenge and an opportunity, that liquidity can be a strategic advantage, and that timing and decisiveness are often more important than raw conviction alone. In this context, disciplined risk management is essential, as it allows action without jeopardizing stability. Finally, leadership in the global context demands responsibility. Decisions reverberate across borders, industries, and communities. Capital markets are not isolated systems. They influence employment, innovation, and the standard of living. Acting with foresight, integrity, and a commitment to long-term value creation is not optional. It is the standard for those who aspire to shape outcomes meaningfully. The leaders who succeed are those who can anticipate shifts, manage complexity, integrate insight with execution, and remain steady when the unexpected occurs. Ultimately, global economic realities and risks define the environment in which leadership is tested. Success is not a product of luck or chance. It emerges from disciplined analysis, anticipation, and the ability to execute decisively in the face of uncertainty. Those who master this environment do more than participate in markets. They influence the direction of capital, the pace of innovation, and the creation of value on a worldwide scale. Optimism in enterprise and innovation is not a naive belief that success will come effortlessly. It is a disciplined recognition that opportunity exists in every challenge and that progress is driven by those willing to act decisively, thoughtfully, and with conviction. In dynamic markets and rapidly evolving industries, the capacity to anticipate change, adapt strategies, and pursue innovation relentlessly is what separates leaders from followers. Optimism, when paired with rigor and discipline, becomes a strategic asset, a lens through which possibilities are evaluated and the future is shaped rather than merely observed. Entrepreneurial resilience lies at the heart of this principle. Markets will fluctuate, conditions will shift and unsert. ANT will inevitably test the resolve of organizations and individuals alike. Those who endure, adapt, and thrive do so because they view obstacles not as barriers, but as signals of where opportunity resides. Innovation is rarely linear. It requires iterative experimentation, disciplined risk-taking, and the courage to pivot when necessary. This mindset fosters creativity while maintaining accountability, and it transforms disruption into a platform for growth rather than a source of fear. Talent remains central to the execution of this optimism. Innovative ideas require capable individuals who can translate vision into action, evaluate risks with precision, and execute strategies with efficiency. Teams that combine diverse perspectives, expertise, and curiosity are capable of solving complex problems, capitalizing on emerging trends, and driving sustained value. Leaders who cultivate these teams recognize that optimism alone is insufficient. It must be paired with skill, focus, and a relentless commitment to excellence. The integration of talent with disciplined optimism becomes the engine for innovation and competitive advantage. Innovation itself is shaped by the environment in which it occurs. Vibrant hubs, cities, regions, or networks that attract talent, capital, and ideas serve as catalysts for growth. These environments encourage experimentation, reward achievement, and facilitate the rapid diffusion of knowledge. Leaders who understand this dynamic invest strategically in such ecosystems, not only to capture opportunity, but to contribute to the broader growth of enterprise. In doing so, they help build infrastructure, networks, and institutions that amplify the impact of innovation. Optimism also drives strategic foresight by maintaining confidence in long-term trends. While managing short-term volatility, leaders are able to allocate resources effectively, identify emerging markets, and commit to initiatives that may not yield immediate returns, but have transformative potential. This perspective allows organizations to act decisively, capture first-mover advantages, and build enduring competitive positions. It is a proactive approach to shaping the future rather than reacting to it. Ultimately, optimism in enterprise and innovation is a disciplined philosophy that balances aspiration with execution. It requires courage tempered by judgment, imagination guided by data, and ambition anchored in responsibility. Leaders who embrace this approach do more than navigate markets. They create them. They cultivate environments where talent flourishes, ideas are rewarded, and opportunities are realized. By combining resilience, foresight, and disciplined action, they ensure that the pursuit of innovation is not just aspirational, but sustainable and impactful. In the end, the future of markets, industries, and enterprises is written by those who approach it with clear-eyed optimism, strategic insight, and an unwavering commitment to execution. So, here we stand, at the crossroads of possibility and action. The markets are not waiting. Opportunities are emerging in real time, some obvious, most hidden beneath layers of complexity and risk. The question is not whether you will participate. The question is whether you will rise, see clearly, and move decisively while others hesitate. The future is not written by those who follow trends. It is forged by those who dare to lead, who trust in insight, and who act with precision when the stakes are highest. The stage is set, the capital is flowing, and the next chapter of global markets is being written this very moment. The only thing left is this: will you step forward, claim your place, and shape what comes next? Use the moment as now, and the time to act is not tomorrow. It is here, it is real, and it is unstoppable.